Happy Tuesday, the final Tuesday for the month of February. We've got home runs to talk about. We've got spring training games and much more here on PHLY Phillies podcast. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you are all having a great start to your day. Tyler Zulli, Jamie Lynch, myself, Renee Washington here as we're going to be getting into Whit Merrifield's start with the Phillies between this past weekend and yesterday's homer. We'll talk about the results, some key takeaways. Plus, we've got to get into some other news around the team, from the bus accident to the updates around Nola, Painter, and then, of course, the latest, who's possibly in on a steal for Mr. Jordan Montgomery. And then I guess that stands. We'll get into that at the end, maybe. Plus, we've got our top five starting pitchers. And yes, we are in the final grouping for Guess That Stands. So that being said, who's number one today? Let me scroll up because I realized on YouTube there's two different chat views you can have. And our
We're
number
6 months
one
old.
person,
We're finally getting it. Hang on,
literally, it is taking the win, Chris, back in that number one spot. Chris, Ray, I see you guys jumped right in talking a lot. Kim, Mickey, Vince, what's up, everybody? Dave P, Provolone John, make sure I don't miss anybody. Jay, nice to have you here. Sam from England, welcome, nice to have you back. I know you've joined us in the past. Mopar, Spiral Out. Listen, guys, hit that thumbs up button. It is definitely it is baseball season, Sam. It is baseball season, guys. Plenty to get into. Let's start with yesterday's game, and I had a very proud auntie moment. I was telling the guys before the show started. Jersey Kev, what's up to you too? My bad. Didn't mean to leave you off the hellos. Guys, proud auntie moment yesterday as, my nephew decided to FaceTime me to talk about the Phillies Red Sox game. Of course, as we know, the Phillies did lose. And I was explaining to him what a walk-off is and how they lost the game. And I was giving him the updates on what happened. And he was, I can't believe they lost to the Red Sox. I'm like, it's okay. Still just spring training. I'm not happy either, but it's spring training. But yeah, we've got games. We got the first L, but we also got the first home run from Mr. Whit Merrifield in this. Now, in the top of the third, down by 2 runs, Whit Merrifield hit a 2-run homer. Cal Stevenson scores. Whit scores his first spring training home run in the Phillies uniform. That was one of my positives to take away because it was so great to see Mr. Super Utility Man rounding the bases and doing what we want him to do, all the little things. And that was one of the positive moments, definitely from that game against the Red Sox Monday.
Yeah, if you're looking for positives, David Buchanan was not it. I think they can just go ahead and I know you need a camp arm, but this guy's not going to make the team. He looked like 2015 David Buchanan. Well, I say looks like, but I mean I read about him looking like this because look, John in his piece recapping yesterday's game, and John's staying in Fort Myers. So if you want to follow along with the action going on, make sure you're following John on Twitter at 2008Phils, following our account on Twitter, PHLY_Phillies. He said it in his story yesterday. He did a great little write-up recap of the game, and he said this game wasn't available on TV or on any streaming devices. How is this possible in the year 2024? And when you think about it, Renee, how many sports channels are on the TV out there?
So many.
30 plus. The internet
I was going to say, depending on the app,
limitless.
You have so many apps on top of cable.
How can you not get a spring training baseball game in this sports media obsessed country we live in? It's a joke. Look, most of the guys stayed behind in Clearwater. Most of the vets outside, like Whit and a couple of guys, I think Bohm, Harper, and somebody else are all making their debut tomorrow. They get the luxury of the vets of staying back in Clearwater and maybe doing a quick workout and going fishing. Usually your guys fighting for jobs are going on these 2.5-hour road trips. But still, you're telling me people aren't going to watch? Look, I'm not saying you need to profit greedily from the airing of a spring training game, but it should be streamed on some platform or broadcast in some capacity.
I have literally said the same thing about soccer.
Stupid.
I said the same thing about baseball. I just cannot imagine NFL seasons getting started and we can't see a preseason game for the NFL or the NBA. Like in other sports, you get access. It might not always be mainstream television, but you can at least access it somewhere.
Just have a streaming camera up there with
Tyler, you're my witness. Literally deja vu, because we said the exact same thing as for the MLS as they were getting their preseason started. Like, we don't need a nice broadcast of 3, 4, 5 camera angles. We don't even need play-by-play or commentators or sideliners. We don't need any of that. We just want a camera just showing the stadium so we can just see people on the field. That's all we want.
Yeah,
I don't think it's too much to ask for.
If you buy MLB the Pass and or whatever, you should get access to spring training games.
The NBA has their before I brought cable back, and sometimes I'd have to use this, but I was like, hey, it worked. They have their rim feed, where you are literally just watching the game from each basket from the rim.
That's fine.
And it was perfectly fine. I had the natural sounds of the arena.
Squeak,
I had
squeak,
no
squeak,
broadcasters.
Bounce,
I had the sound of the ball bouncing. I had the shots. I had the cheers. I had the whistle blowing. And I literally was able to just see the game from the angle of the rim. And I was like, it works. It was free. It works. Baseball, there's got to be a way to do it.
Yeah, I just don't understand it.
As you mentioned, David Buchanan, not a great day for Buchanan. Listen. All right, let's peel this back, okay? So we know that he hasn't pitched specifically for the Phillies since 2015. And in addition to yesterday's performance, when, as you mentioned, not a good day for David, overall finishing with 4 hits, 1 walk on Monday, struck out 2, and his ERA for the day, not good. His ERA finished at a solid, are you ready for this? If I can find it again. Oh, wait, probably would help if I'm on the right team. I switched over to Boston. His ERA for the day, 9 ERA. And only one other player, well, a couple players for the Phillies had a worse ERA. One of them kind of Brogden. But one of the things that I took away.
Him stinking next.
Yeah, we'll talk about his stinky poo-poo day. One of the things that was interesting that came out after the game as David Buchanan was talking about his performance is he also brought up how in his major league career, he only has 2 regrets, guys. 2. I don't know what the other one is, and I'm very curious. But one of those regrets, that there are 3 guys on the Phillies roster that he's played against in Major League Baseball, Zach, JT, and Bryce. And back September 2015 at Citizens Bank Park, he threw a wild pitch at Bryce Harper. It sailed behind Harper's back. Harper then hit a home run, and he still remembers that day. And he was like, apparently, I don't know this, as I was listening, I'm curious to know your thoughts, guys. Apparently, one of the main motivating factors for the David Buchanan to get back to Major League Baseball was to have a chance to apologize to Bryce Harper. He said, I just didn't expect I'd be in the same clubhouse as him, but I wanted to apologize to Bryce because that was one of my 2 regrets during my career, that he threw that wild pitch in 2015. And he apologized to Bryce, and they had a moment to clear the air.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like... And he allegedly went up to Bryce and was like, I just wanted to apologize for it. And Bryce like, oh, yeah, the 2-0 homer back in 2015. I'm sure Bryce is like, what the heck?
Yeah, he's probably like, yeah, man, that was a wild pitch. Like, I didn't even think twice about it.
It was almost 10 years ago. It is 2024. You're talking about a September 2015 wild pitch. But that is the David Buchanan that we are working with, that he is not only out here with a 9 ERA in yesterday's game, not good innings, but also is focused on. And this motivating factor, apologizing to Bryce, Jamie.
I don't really believe that, but if that is true for him,
he talked about it with
weird,
very
weird
much.
Lie. I don't know why you would lie about that, or maybe I don't know. I don't believe a second of that story, but
listen,
sure, David Buchanan, that was your motivation for getting back to Major League Baseball.
Post game, after losing the game 7-6, after having a bad performance, that's what he talked about.
It's a pitch.
That's what he talked about.
It's a pitch.
Yeah.
What are you talking about,
man? Why are we talking about that? You didn't have a good performance today. What does that have to do with 2015?
Yeah.
So, of course, there's David Buchanan for you. Of course, in that 2014-2015 stretch, he made 35 starts. We all know the trajectory from there. But
I
now
would say
he's focused
bigger
on
regrets would be just like
back.
getting shelled in Major League Baseball and having a 6+ ERA,
having to go to AAA and then pitching in Japan and South Korea and having to work to get back. There should be other things. So, yeah, there you go, guys. David Buchanan, 9 ERA yesterday, but he did at least apologize to Bryce Harper. But the other one, as you mentioned, that also had a really tough day, Mr. Connor Brogden, who finished with a 13.5 ERA because he also gave up a run and gave up 3 walks in 2/3 innings pitched. Not a good day for he doesn't get a nickname. He gets Connor Brogden. He gets a full government name.
I think they were hoping he would revert back to 2 years ago, Connor Brogden. And look, he still might. Like, it's just one appearance. Doesn't tell the story. But he's kind of trending in the wrong direction between last year and the first debut this year. Hopefully he can get it together because he would be like, the kid throws hard. He's got a nasty breaking ball. Like, he just hasn't been able to put it together consistently. So I think they're hoping he becomes one of the, that young middle reliever type that steals the job, but he's got to go out there and steal it. He's got no guarantees to make the team.
Yeah, exactly. So I know in the chat you guys are bringing up some various comments about the story itself from Mr. Buchanan. Yeah, it's a little interesting. I know, Chris, Dave, you're saying it's phony. Let it go. Ray, you're apologizing for everything, and I feel bad about stuff I did decades ago. I understand it. For sure. And yes, I did see in the chat mention from Matt that the Phillies didn't even have Whit's home run on video. Fortunately for John, he's down there watching everything and getting to see it live and in person, and anybody else that's there is able to do so. But for the rest of us, we're just reading about all the updates because that's the way that some sports are. MLS, MLB, NWSL, where you just get to read about these highlights. So you get to read about the games. You don't actually get to watch them yourself. So we're counting down the days until we get to watch games for us. 15 until we're in person watching games.
Nice.
And 30 until we are all watching opening day against the Braves. So as you mentioned, though, Jamie, something else yesterday that did come out because, as you talked about, not everybody went to the game. Of course, only the players that were playing went. And fortunately for those that went, they were all okay following a bus accident that happened on the way back. So on the way back from Fort Myers yesterday, there was a car that rear-ended the bus. Let me put my newsy voice. A car rear-ended the bus just a few hundred yards beyond the on-ramp of I-75 North. The bus suffered a scratch or two while the sedan suffered visible damage. The driver seemed to be okay, although his status is unknown. According to reports, yes, that is true. Philly center fielder Johan Rojas and others were on the bus, stood outside the bus to await it getting checked out, and then returned to the bus to go back to Clearwater.
Wow, riveting. I mean, if you're in a sedan, one of the last things you want to hit is
that was Renee's tape for NBC Nightly News.
Yeah. There you go.
You're replacing David Muir coming for his job.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's like once I had an accident. I was a month away from owning. I had a 2005 Passat, and I was a month away from owning it. And right at the Art Museum Circle, you know how it gets confusing?
So confusing. I don't know who came up with that, by the way. The Art Museum is...
Somebody blew a red light across the circle up to Spring Garden as I was driving in the far right lane. So the point of the story was I had a new car, and this guy had a 67 Thunderbird Classic, which was basically a tank. And his car had no damage, and my new car crumpled like a cardboard box. Yeah, my car was totaled. His car was more or less fine. Same kind of thing there. If you're a sedan hitting one of those big buses, I don't like your odds.
Yeah, the bus just had a couple scratches. The sedan had some major damage. So fortunately, everybody was okay. Staff and players were on the bus coming from the game, leaving JetBlue Park. But it was a little, as I saw, I was like, whoa, what's happening here? And then as I read more, unfortunately, everybody was okay. Sosa, Junior Marte, Yoro, there were others on board. So fortunately, everybody is okay.
So I had this thought yesterday. Is Sosa going to be trade bait for possible bullpen arm? The reason I was thinking this is because if Whit Merrifield can I know he's your best defensive replacement, but you can't have a bench of all right-handed hitters.
Yeah.
And if Christian Pache truly beats out Jay Cave's holding on to life here because he's a left-handed bat on the bench. Garrett Stubbs is, but you don't really want to use him in pinch hit situations. I wonder. I think somebody's getting moved this spring training.
Well, yeah, I think
because I think you want to keep Cave
tryouts.
just for the left-handed bat aspect, and you don't want to move on from Pache because he's not going to clear waivers.
Right.
And
so I feel like
Sosa,
Pache's one that has been doing well.
I wonder if Whit Merrifield displaces Sosa. If they feel okay about him filling in at third as well as second, I mean, you need that shortstop replacement, so Sosa might. But they might move somebody. Like, I don't know. Maybe they feel okay with Whit playing shortstop once every 3 weeks or something.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, Rob was mentioning how he can literally play everywhere. Infield, outfield. He didn't exclude shortstop or, obviously he can play second base. That's his main position. They said pretty much any position. But he said any spot that he can play. So I imagine that.
I wonder what's going to happen there. Because you can't, like, as much as I think the righty-lefty thing can be overblown at times, you can't have a bench of all right-handed bats.
No, exactly. I mean, it would be interesting, but I do think there's also on the flip side, what would be. He plays shortstop.
Yeah, hypothetical man with a great point. He says stock can slide over shortstop some days.
You've got
and Whit can play second. I really think. I wonder. I think they're moving somebody. And to me, yesterday on my walk, this was what I was thinking about.
I love this.
I was going.
Glad you were going for a walk.
Yeah, I love going for walks, but I didn't have the kids, so I just had music in, and I was, off in Phillies, La La Land, and I was like, wait, you kind of have to keep Cave. And then I was like, well, Sosa, if Merrifield, like, they're going to make a trade.
That's the thing that I remember when Rob was talking. I was like, this is the beauty of it all, because you have, obviously, Bohm can play third. He can slide over to first if needed. Whit can play anywhere. Second is his main spot, but he can play third. He can play right field, left field, center field. You can obviously always move. You can move Brandon Marsh over to center field. You can always, as mentioned, you can move Bryson Stott to shortstop. So you've got that, opportunity to be able to move players around. And if you have someone like a Jake Cave or, Edmundo Sosa, that's right now their role's not what made them valuable is not as valuable anymore because you got super utility man Whit Merrifield.
And then, if Weston Wilson has a great spring, like, does he get in the mix? Jonathan Might in the chat says, I'd take Wilson /Pache over Sosa /Cave. Now, Sosa is like a good bench piece. But is he worth jamming yourself up for?
Right.
When you could possibly move him for maybe a veteran bullpen type. Yeah. Tyler, your thoughts on this? I know you're a Sosa fan, and, he's a very good bench piece to have.
Yeah, I think there's versatility in Sosa.
But isn't there versatility in Merrifield,
Of course there is. I mean, he's the ultimate versatility. But I think that you want guys on your bench that can play multiple positions. Mm-hmm.
But Cave can do that. Whit can do that.
And Sosa can do that.
Oh, would it be Sosa or Cave for you if you had to choose?
Or Weston Wilson.
Would it be Sosa or Cave? I would keep Sosa. Yes, I don't disagree.
But the left-handed bat
understood that you need a left-handed bat off the bench, but so like Wilson is, he's an outfielder, right? Like, I mean, I guess you could theoretically have him play some third.
I think I'm going to look it up right now, but I think he has played a little bit of spot third.
I think that's what I mean. Is like he's actually probably a third baseman by trade, and they put him in the outfield out of necessity.
Yeah,
but I don't think that he's a major league third baseman.
No, but in an emergency, can you go stand there and look the part?
And actually, by the way, last year he played 79 games at Lehigh Valley at shortstop.
Wow,
Weston did?
He did.
See, like, the more and more we talk about this, like, I don't know. I think Sosa's the odd man out.
But in 2022, he played 43 of his 90-some-odd games from Nashville in the outfield. So, like, yes, there's versatility with Weston Wilson.
Basically, your whole bench has versatility.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I personally would take Sosa over Wilson. I think the glove's better.
Well, the glove's undoubtedly better, but Weston Wilson's bat is undoubtedly better.
I agree.
Assuming he translates given the opportunity.
Yeah. Agree. And that's what Rob was talking about for Weston. I mean, obviously this past weekend we saw him hit a 2-run homer. And for Weston Wilson, he was mentioning he is that guy that had, he's a 30-30 guy in AAA. We obviously know the at-bats that he can provide. And so he was mentioning this exact thing. You've got Whit, you've got Edmundo, you've got, Garrett Stubbs, who are already slotted in for 3 of the 4 bench jobs he mentioned. And they said, now the Phillies might want a left-handed hitter or true outfielder for that last spot. So now is it Jay Cave who can hit left-handed? Is it Christian Pache who hits right-handed? Is it, so he's saying they're going to look at a bunch of these different ways to work in that last guy. And it all comes down to if the Phillies want a true center fielder, a right-handed bat, a left-handed bat, a guy who can come off the bench and steal a base. So he's saying towards the end of camp, they'll sit down and figure it out the best way to go, because there's definitely guys that you want to, that you don't want to lose.
I'll make my take right here. I think Sosa's traded.
He mentioned,
that's my take on February 27th.
Okay, I like it.
Because I don't think they want to give up Pache. I think they're very intrigued by Wilson. And then I think Merrifield just kind of displaces him a bit. So that's my take. February 27th. That's where I was on my walk last night, Renee. It's normal to think about these things, right? When you're relaxing.
Of course.
Going through bench players of the Phillies.
Who's gonna stay and who's gonna go? That's totally fine. Well, that being said, we did get the lineup for today's game that kicks off against the Twins. Everything's around 1 o'clock, 1:05. Christopher Sanchez will get the start, and then also
Sunday was 107.
I know, it's like they pick a random number, 104, 105, 107. It's always 10 something for the most part. But you've got Trey Turner leading things off, Bryson Stott, Christian Pache, Hall, Wilson, Cave, Scott Kingery, Garrett Stubbs, Castro, and then Sanchez is the starting pitcher. And as we know, as they have the Phillies have already indicated, Alec Boehm is supposed to be back from his neck spasms Wednesday. He is doing better, and then that's when Bryce Harper, and JT Realmuto are supposed to make their spring debuts. So one more day until we see those 3. But you know what you don't have to wait to see, and what you don't have to wait to take advantage of? Opportunities to work with some of the kindest people that want to make sure that you are prepared for your house buying process. That's right. Over at Mortgage CS, which stands for Mortgage Concierge Service, they are a white glove service located right here in Philadelphia, available 24/7, and they really want to make sure to help educate and empower you. That way, they're helping you find ultra competitive rates that work best for you and your family, not their bottom dollar, not their bottom line. And over at Mortgage CS, they also are available at any time of day to ask questions. If you have a question about who is possibly going to be left off of the roster for the Phillies, or who do you think is going to be a part of the final 40-man roster to kick off opening day. If you want to talk about the weather, if you want to talk about house buying, whatever it is, you can always reach out to Mortgage CS via email, text, phone call. Their CEO, Ben's phone number right here on your screen, 267-391-7425. Again, 267-391-7425. You can always reach out to Ben. He said he's available and always open to chatting with you about anything. And you can also email Ben anytime, ben@mortgagecs.com. And when you hear the word mortgage, think of Mortgage CS. Think of Ben. Think of Alec, who works at Mortgage CS as well. They're licensed coast to coast. They work with a lot of different clients. They provide exceptional customer service. And then also, they are helping to offer refinancing options. That's right, including rate and term refinances for a rate payment reduction with a cash out refinances, helping you to tap into home equity, whether it's for that home project or education. They're helping you get funding for it. So with Mortgage CS, they're always working to help you make a smart choice. So head on over to mortgagecs.com/PHLY to get started today, and make sure that you get in contact with Ben and Alec of Mortgage CS. Now, this advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID number 1464766, and you can visit mortgagecs.com for more information as the spring purchase market is heating up, to make sure you are prepared to stand out and make the strongest offers possible over with Mortgage CS.
Yeah, once Ben and Alex help you get in your new home, you're going to find you want to build like a stable of people. You want to have, you need your HVAC person. You need your, lawn care specialist. You need your roof guy. Well, it's good because I know I got a flooring guy with Empire today. We all know the jingle. Renee?
1-800-587. Wait, oh no! 1-800-588-2300. Empire today.
I'm not the jingle person, but Renee is. We all know them. It's because they're the best, and they've been around forever. You get shop at home convenience with the right product. They simplify it for you because there's a ton of copycats out there. There's a ton of flooring models out there. And what they do is bring you the best product easily, to simplify your life, they only bring you the best of what they've studied and used and had success with for their thousands of customers. So you're getting the best at-home convenience with the best selection guaranteed. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring. And of course, there's going to be copycats out there, but they can't beat Empire Today on quality. They won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in their own. They've been around forever because they are the best, because their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. They pride themselves on the at-home convenience where you're getting an honest, upfront advice. It's great. They service their own warranties. If an issue does arise, just call Empire and they will service the warranties themselves. You're not going to have to track down some manufacturer's phone number. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all listeners here at PHLY can get $350 off when they use the promo code PHLY. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHLY for details. Empire is the best. You'll find the best experience with them. $350 off. Just use code PHLY. There you have it.
By the way, guys, I think to wrap up the Sosa-Wilson debate, if a trade happens, that's different, Jamie, because
I think it's a trade. I don't think you just cut Sosa.
Well, right. So Sosa is out of options.
Yeah.
He has no options left. So they're not going to push him through those.
Wilson does have options.
They're not going to push him through the irrevocable waivers because they will lose him. He's going to get claimed.
Absolutely.
Weston Wilson has 2 left. I think the best strategy for this team, if they do like both of these guys and they want to keep both of these guys, is to start the year with Sosa on the roster, unless, as you say, a trade gets facilitated. Then it blows everything out of the water. But if you're looking at just 2 guys and you're saying this guy or this guy, who's making the 26?
Oh, Sosa's making
It's going to be Sosa.
That's why I think they move him, because I just, he's a great guy to have on your team. Great bench piece, versatility, all that. But, you kind of just know what he is. Weston Wilson, I think, intrigues people. Plus, you have the Cave Pache thing and the left-handed bat. So I just think it's all of a sudden a crowded kind of bench area with Whit Merrifield here. So if one of these Coveys, Nelsons, Brogdons, Martes, if one of these guys doesn't kind of and I know somebody in the chat was like, I don't worry about pitchers in the spring because they're usually tinkering and working on stuff. Yeah. And that's true. But one of these guys has to have a good spring to kind of take that job. I think you can get one of those veteran middle relief types for Sosa. Sosa is something teams covet out there. He's a solid, solid glove, okay enough bat, and versatile. So we'll see. Just a thought I had yesterday. We'll see if anything happens there.
And on the pitching side, we have talked about a lot of exactly the tinkering that is going on. Griff McGarry is working on his control and different things. Mick Abel, as we talked about yesterday, making some tweaks. Aaron Nola, another one that's been actually making tweaks. I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday.
And Zach Wheeler's adding a splitter too.
Yeah, there's a great piece that came out about Nola and the tweaks that he's making around, just wanting to be better at his overall approach, being now that he's got a year under his belt of the pitch clock and how much he struggled with that. And Jamie, just looking at the fact that he's been able to work so closely with Cotham about, going into it, finding himself able to slow the game down. And for Aaron Nola, he felt like he was overthinking the pitch clock. Which pitch clock am I looking at? Is it the right? Is it the left? The mechanics of his pitch was actually the biggest thing that he changed. And it started last August that he started working on that. And I know we talked about it yesterday, but his ERA prior to August was a 4.62 in his first 30 games. And then afterwards, in the final games of the season, a 2.27 ERA for Aaron Nola. And what changed was the fact that Nola learned what worked for him, being able to figure out how to introduce the slide step. That was late August that he introduced that, being able to introduce some pitch timer adjustments, being able to introduce, mentally even an approach to it that he felt like really helped close out the season. And Nola was talking about how he's hoping that carries over throughout this entire season as well. And so do we, Aaron Nola, because the Aaron Nola we saw down the stretch is the Aaron Nola that you absolutely would hope to have this entire season, given the minor adjustments that went such a long way for his overall delivery, management of the game, and just approach.
Yeah, he was. He got better at the end of the year because he was inching closer to an even numbered year. I mean, all that's good and well, but this is an even numbered year, so
it's all about the year.
Yeah, like you don't have anything to worry about. Aaron Nola's going to be good this year. No, but it was a piece by Alex Coffey on the Philly Inquirer about him, and it was very good. And these guys and Caleb Cotham and their relationship and how much and the same for Kevin Long. There was a JT Real Muto story by Matt Gelb. How much they trust these guys and enjoy working with these guys and kind of take it upon themselves. And I think that's part of like the clubhouse magic here is everybody knows everybody's accountable. If JT Real Muto knows he has a hole in his swing, he's going to go address it and try to change something.
Right.
If Aaron Nola had these struggles with the pitch clock and Caleb Cotham saw something as simple as switching from the visitor bullpen clock to the home bullpen clock because it keeps his body more aligned. I think that adds to this team's likability and respect for one another internally because everybody holds themselves accountable. It was pretty interesting. You don't think about how much looking at a different pitch clock could affect you, but I think everybody last year in the beginning of the year was going, well, the pitch clock's got to be having an effect on Nola. It's got to be. And it affected a lot of guys around baseball. But hopefully now that's something they're used to and that excuse is eliminated. And it looks like Caleb Cotham really helped him find something there that should help him, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we get into a possible pitcher's landing spot around the league, our very own Andrew Painter also was talking about just the updates of his timeline and where he's at. I know I was reading in his different quotes that came out that he was talking about how there was an outside chance that he could pitch in the Arizona Fall League. The goals for 2024 for him, though, are not to have any expectations of a timeline. He's actually not focusing, and he's been working with the staff of focusing less on the timeline of when he'll get back and just focusing on day by day his progression. And so, even looking back to last year, I know people have asked and wondered, and there's been the question marks of, should he have gotten the surgery? Should he have waited? Should he have, all the shoulda, coulda, wouldas that people are wondering. And even his own agent, Scott Boras, was concerned at times about how fast the Phillies were pushing Painter to get back. He had a lot of different opinions, and Painter was saying, you know what, at the end of the day, I feel like it was the right move. The data said, based on where the sprain was, there was a good chance he was going to come back. But he said, looking back, if he feels like he was happy that he was able to get the surgery and then gets back and into rehabbing properly. Because again, Andrew Painter is only 20 years old. So even if he is to miss the entire 2024,
he'll be 21 next year.
He'll be 21 coming into the Phillies. So he's still so young, and he does still have time to heal and get better. And I know Dave Dombrowski was even mentioning there's no rush. There's no need to rush him.
No.
And absolutely, I agree with that. So for Andrew Painter, he was saying for him and his approach, it's not about the timetable of when he'll get back. He doesn't want to clog his mind with all the different scenarios and hypotheticals. As you all know, that's always a major distraction. But instead, he's focusing on, getting better. So he's been throwing from 74 feet 4 days a week. It's early on in his throwing program, but he is at least on the verge of getting back to and on making good progress at the very least. So keeping on him, because we know Tommy John surgery, 12 to 18 months that can take, depending on how your recovery process goes. So glad to see that Andrew Painter at such a young age has the right approach and has been, working back step by step to get himself back out there. Now, another guy that we've talked about a lot. Listen, the Boston Red Sox may have stolen yesterday's game, but they possibly could have a bigger steal coming up, Jamie. Jordan Montgomery. Yes. So we have talked, of course, about the names that are still in the market, still looking for a home, Jordan Montgomery being one of them. And it came out yesterday that, of course, the Phillies are on one end waiting for Jordan Montgomery's asking price to come down. They're already into the second level of the luxury tax threshold. So any other signing is going to cost the Phillies millions in tax dollars. But on the other side, for Red Sox manager Alex Cora, he did speak with reporters saying that they met with Montgomery over Zoom, a good old Zoom meeting before spring training.
Oh, that really makes you feel wanted.
I know. According to their
fly
insider,
your ass over here and kiss the ring.
Their insider, Peter Gammons, also gave a much more detailed report indicating that it went very well. The Red Sox and Scott Boras had a great meeting recently and may get some deal eventually done on Jordan Montgomery. So the Red Sox, who have been one of those lurking teams that we've heard connected to Jordan Montgomery, seem like they may be coming in late to make a steal for the 31-year-old who, as we know, has some ties to Boston, and could be a landing spot for him, especially with the Rangers off the board, the Phillies waiting for the price to come down, and other teams that have been involved. It seems like we might possibly get Jordan Montgomery signing with the Red Sox. Breaking news this week or coming up soon?
We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it. A Zoom meeting, like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I know it's probably agent and GM, come recruit me.
But my thing is, like,
if I
do you
have
think
if
this
I
is
have
real?
a decent enough offer elsewhere, and you Zoom meeting me
in 2024 when there's
like,
you can hop on a plane
off.
and fly over.
Yeah,
not to mention it's so close. It's so close to spring training. You're gonna set up. I feel like you want to, exactly to your point, move this along. Zoom meetings like step one. You should be further along in the process.
Get it done.
But is this real, or do you think this is more of a ploy of like a fallback option for them?
I think this is a sign of like maybe Scott Boras doesn't really have as big of a market for Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell and Chapman as he thought he was going to.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is kind of weird. I understand Bryce Harper, first week of March, but we all knew what that was. There was the rumors at the time that it was tied to the MLB The Show cover release, and they did have it out at, the signing press conference. So I think that had some more like extra forces behind it, marketing-wise, PR-wise, league influence-wise. These, I think, Scott Boras thought there was going to be multiple 6-year offers for $150+ million for some of these guys, and I just don't think there is.
Yeah,
Blake Snell's probably going to end up with the Yankees, and the Yankees will probably get a decent deal on him. Aaron Nola's probably pretty happy he got his deal taken care of and done when he did. I just think these markets are kind of dry for these guys, and that just means good news for the Phillies because, Todd Zalecki said it. If there's a 1 or 2 year deal, Dave Dombrowski himself said it on WIP. There's always that situation where somebody falls into your lap where you can't really say no. Is Jordan Montgomery worth going into the next tax threshold and losing some draft picks? I mean, it certainly pushes you all in. So, look, I can sacrifice a draft pick or two if it means the Phillies World Series odds increase, 150 points on the odds meter. The longer this takes, I just think the Phillies lurk in the shadows as a real kind of dark horse contender here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know in the chat I'm seeing various thoughts. Jazz Fusion, you're asking about how many miles per hour. And what's up, Jazz? Nice to have you here. How many miles per hour is a Zoomer these days? And I know you guys are bringing up Snell being in a weird spot, hypothetical man. Different thoughts on Chris, you're mentioning Scott. That is so Scott Boras. He's such an ass, and Boston will still be in last place.
You have Rafael Devers at press conferences, straight up calling the team out, going we need more. Everybody knows what our holes are.
Exactly.
And then you have Zoom meetings with Jordan Montgomery.
And it definitely.
What happened to the Red Sox? John Henry. What have you done?
I know. Also, I saw Jonathan Might was mentioning earlier, the Red Sox just need content for their Netflix show. But it is odd that you have a Zoom meeting right before spring training when there's, he's ready to get a deal done. Spring training's getting started. Teams, I'm sure, they were ready to lock in. He's ready to lock in somewhere. And to have a Zoom meeting it's like a phone call. It's like, hey, can you call me? No, I'll text you instead. That's what the Zoom meeting is. Can we meet in person? No, I'll Zoom you instead. You don't even think if it's not something that's a priority to you, then you're going to meet over Zoom. If it's a priority, you're flying out to connect with him. So very interesting. The Red Sox brought up and in the mix for Jordan Montgomery. And as we keep talking about, the longer Jordan Montgomery sticks around, the better chance that the Phillies are able to get that price point to drop and see if they can lock in Jordan Montgomery. It'd be a great addition for them.
How many games do you guys think that this starting rotation wins? Lucas Giolito, Nick Pivetta, Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford, Tanner Houck. In the AL East, by the way.
How many games do they win you?
How many games does that team win with a starting five of those five guys? 75?
66.
That's
a possible 100-loss team.
The Red Sox stink right now. Really, really
and you're
stink.
having Zoom meetings.
But here's the thing is, even if you sign Montgomery, you get better. No question about it. You get much better. But I look at this roster, and there's 3 or 4 guys on there that I would want on my team. You know, like Rafi Devers is clearly that guy. If you want a DH only, Masataka Yoshida is a guy that could be on your team. Tristan Casas is an up-and-coming first baseman. I think he's going to be really quite good for some time. And then you got a bunch of dudes. Like Trevor Story, I think, was at one point an elite shortstop, and now he's probably past his prime. You've got Vaughn Grisham, who you don't know what he's going to be yet. This is not a good baseball team.
No, not at all. And yeah, it would be great to imagine. I know hypothetical man, Ray, you know, you guys were talking about, and even Jonathan might, not many wins for the Red Sox, but definitely imagining the rotation for the Phillies with Jordan Montgomery, and it would be spectacular to see.
Matt Deckert's right. At least they're going to win at least 6 games.
Yeah,
that is true.
I think you'd have to move Walker if you did sign a Montgomery.
Yeah.
And you'd have to eat some money and kind of give him away a little bit. But teams out there would take Taijuan Walker with some money off the top. Like, he's a serviceable guy, give you innings. I know Tyler, you know, we're about to get into the top 5 starting pitchers. I know Tyler was toying putting Taijuan Walker 5th.
You know how much I love Taijuan Walker.
You were
I
so
had to talk
tempted to
you down
him.
a little bit. He's easily my favorite player on the Phillies.
Getting irrational, wanted to put him number 5.
So I do think you could trade him if Jordan Montgomery did happen. Like, you could give away Taijuan Walker. Sure. You'd have to eat some money, but you could. Get
I just got an oil change. I'll drive him wherever he goes.
Okay.
I'll take him myself.
Well, last thing before we do get into our top 5 starting pitchers for the day, and I hope you guys are ready. Make sure you have your top 5 in your head so you can join with us. Join in with us on the conversation. Is the fact that the Phillies are adding something new to their arsenal for training, and that's pickleball. Now, I do have a number of friends that play pickleball. Pickleball is on the rise. It's like pickleball, spike ball. There's new games that are coming out that are definitely getting a lot of attention. And for the Phillies, they call it Paco Ball because of the fact that it's their own Paco Figueroa, who has the outfield coach, who has really introduced us to them for Figueroa. Wow, now I'm Jamieing this.
Yeah, you're Jamieing it.
I'm Jamie on this.
Paco Figueroa.
Figueroa, excuse me.
Nelson Figueroa. I wonder if they're related.
Paco Figueroa has introduced this game to the outfield as a way to work on a number of things. And now pickleball does help with, and as Paco was mentioning, or aka Figueroa, you know, moving different directions, your agility, having to drop to get the ball, going in to hit it, and how it's been helping the outfielders even with their communication. Plus, it's fun. I know we used to play soccer tennis for that exact reason. You know, playing something a little bit different that works on some of the mechanics of the game that still gets the competitive juices flowing is great for, you know, the team to have. And so they actually came into camp this spring and asked the grounds crew to find a designated spot where they could be out of the way and mess up the grass and be able to play. So to mark off, you know, 4 squares, 30 by 30, where they can have their own pickleball field. Pickleball is growing. I know last year, the Association of Pickleball Professionals estimated 48.3 million adults have played the game. It's a mixture of like ping pong, tennis, badminton.
Yes, Mopar, why you're here, the pickleball talk.
It gets better because they have not officially been keeping track for the Phillies of who's the best and who's the worst. But Christian Pache, the competitor in him, has been keeping track. A lot of the guys have been saying Pache is the best at their Paco Ball. And then Nick Castellanos has been included. But you know who's been the worst for Paco Ball? Any guesses on who's the worst Philly? Bryson Stott. It's okay. Interesting.
I hope for your sake it's Johan Rojas.
Okay. Rude. Giving petty. No, guys, it was Kyle Schwarber. It was a layup. You missed it. Kyle Schwarber has been the worst. And Kyle Schwarber even said he's disappointed in himself because he's actually good at regular pickleball, but is not good at this version of pickleball. He's not good at Paco Ball. Because Paco Ball is a little different. Yes, pickleball is a little bit different and just how they've introduced. It's not exactly pickleball. There's some minor tweaks to it. The guys have to use their non-dominant hand to practice glove, their same glove hand. They also aren't allowed to smash the ball because they don't want to hurt each other. So there's some minor tweaks to the game. So although Kyle Schwarber is good at pickleball, he's not great at pickleball, which may not be a surprise, guys.
Well, you know what Kyle Schwarber could be good at because he's got lots of money to spend? Our 30% off sale.
Spend.
You might suck at Paco Ball, Kyle, but you don't suck in the PHLY locker. Now through Wednesday, it's going to apply immediately when you go to check out. 30% off the entire locker room right now. Tons of great stuff on there. There might be, I've heard some rumors of more coming down the line pretty soon. But right now, some of the classics are up there, including the Attaboy Harper, the PHLY Phillies shirt, the baby blue with the maroon on there is very, very nice. I've had my eye on that maxi shirt for a while. And the Mad Russian hoodie. I know it's about to be springtime, but 30% off. I think I buy that now, stash it away for next winter. Good to go. So check it out. Head to allphly.com. Go to the locker room, 30% off your orders now through Wednesday. Take advantage of it while you can.
All right.
Was that Kevin Hart?
Yes, it is. There you go.
Right.
Okay.
All right. I remember that one. That was good.
That's a goodie.
Yeah. Early Kevin Hart's good. Now he's just overexposed.
Oh my gosh, we were just talking about comedy yesterday.
His original stand-ups are great.
But comedy in general has gone down because, and this is a whole left we can take, but real quick off the rails. In our opinion, we were talking about it yesterday after our union show. In my opinion, comedy has changed because back in the day, the Steve Harveys and Richard Pryors and different guys, Steve Harvey was literally living in his car, homeless, eating a bologna sandwich every day to go to his comedy show. The grind was different. Now it's social media. You have comedians that have a stage and a presence and a place to put out their comedy anywhere and everywhere. And it's not the same grind and struggle. And so that struggle would be a lot of their skits. They talk about, being, their upbringing, their family, whatever. It's just different. It's totally different. So yeah, no, I'm a fan of older Kevin Hart. All right. That being said, let's get into our top 5 starting pitchers. Now, it is difficult every day as we're doing these rankings because they are, yes, because it's our projections for 2024. And so we've had each of us something that was a spicy take, some of us more than others, and I'll be proud to admit I've maybe brought something that was some surprises. But today I don't think I'm going to have any major surprises. I'm
curious to see where everybody's 5 is, though, because I think we probably are going to agree on 4. And then once you get outside like the top 4, there's honestly, Tyler and I were talking about it before the show. There's 7 guys you can all make a case for being that guy this year.
Yeah, like we said, Taijuan Walker.
Taijuan Walker, Christopher Sanchez.
My number 5, Taijuan
Walker. You're kicking it off?
He's only 5?
He's only number 5.
Coward.
He could be higher.
Such a slight. That's not even right.
Mean. Poor Taijuan. All right, my number 5, starting off for 2024 projections. Again, this is where I think they're going to perform in terms of the ladder of starting pitchers in 2024. I'm starting things off with Zach Gallen. Last year was a major step for Zach in his Last year was a major step for Zach in his progression as a bona fide ace.
The first comment, Mickey Durkin.
Oh, wow.
Please do not put
Mickey.
Zach Gallen on
Mickey.
the list. It was as right as you started talking.
Thanks, Mickey.
That was great timing,
right on time, Mickey. Well, yes. Okay, so last year it is 210 innings pitched. He finished with a 3.47 ERA, 1.11 WHIP, 220 strikeouts. Zach Gallen, as much as we hate to admit it, guys, he is on the rise. He is someone that has been in the conversation of being an NL, Cy Young Award winner. He definitely has improved and taken strides for Arizona. And as much as you don't want him on the list, Mickey or anybody else, unfortunately, I do think the progression he's made continues into 2024. Zach Gallen.
Yeah, Zach Gallen, I think, is one of those 7 guys that you could kind of make the case for. He's really good. Me personally, he's not my cup of tea. And I said this to Tyler when we were briefly debating him. I was like, he's a guy, right or wrong, I don't feel as though you don't have a chance against. When you go into a game against Gallen, I'm like, all right, you got a fighter's chance here. But he's a tremendous pitcher. So this number 5 one was really hard. Gallen I considered, a bunch of guys I considered. But I'm going to go a little bit out on the limb here. And I think Pablo Lopez I'm going to go with at number 5. He had a 3.3 ERA last year. His WHIP was a 1.1. Like to see that lowered a little bit. Just about 10 strikeouts per 9 inning. Only throws 2.5 walks per 9. 200 plus innings. He can go 200 innings. I think he was at 185 last year. He's going to be that back of the baseball card guy. He's going to be a 3.5 ERA. He kind of had his emergence last year. I think he's going to keep it going in Minnesota this year. So I'm going to go Pablo Lopez, number 5.
Yeah, this was really difficult to pick
you
5.
struggled.
Are you going Scooball, your man?
No, I'm not.
Tyler really struggled.
I got a couple of
You
dollars.
got Kirby, your big one?
I got a couple of dollars dabbled on a whole bunch of different guys to win the AL Cy Young Award, and none of those guys are the guy that I'm putting at number 5. So just to give you an idea, Pablo Lopez, a couple bucks, Tariq Skubal, a couple bucks, George Kirby, a couple bucks. Well, it's going to be really hard for him to win the AL Cy Young in the National League.
AL. Okay.
But the guy that I ended up settling on is a guy who's made 95 starts over the last 3 seasons. It's Kevin Gausman. 185 innings pitched last year, led the American League with 237 strikeouts. The whip's been pretty consistently right around that 1-1 mark each of the last 3 seasons. A top 10 finish in the Cy Young each of the last 3 seasons as well. A season ago, he led the league in strikeouts per walk at 7.3. His walks rose a little bit last year. He went from a 1.4 in 2022 back to kind of his average, which is 2.5 across his career. He was at 2.7 last year. I think you're going to start to see Gausman slow down just a little bit, but he was a first-time All-Star last year, posting a 3.1 ERA. This guy is a type of guy. My thing with this list is you've got to be the type of guy who can get me close to 200 innings, even in a hyper-focused, bullpen, save innings, analytics, arm versus, side type of league. You got to be a guy who can get me close to 200 innings.
That's why
to be
Nola
in this
was
list.
so coveted on the free agent market.
Correct. And for me, Gausman is the type of guy who's been super consistent each of the last 3 seasons. His final year in San Francisco and the last 2 years in Toronto. I really like what this guy does. He strikes out over 200 just about every year. Kevin Gausman at number 5 for me.
I used to bet overs when he was pitching in his early days, regularly, because he struggled for his first couple of years in the league. And I used to bet his overs, and he's really turned the corner and been one of those guys.
Yeah, and my number 4 is a guy that's found a new home in Baltimore, coming off of 3 straight seasons of 200 or more strikeouts. It's Corbin Burns. And I'm not cueing the Let It Burn song because he went to the Orioles. Now, in his time with Milwaukee, had a career 3.26 ERA with the Brewers, which is top for Brewers history for starting pitchers, but also for him to have in the last season a 3.39 ERA, a 1.07 WHIP, and his 193 2/3 innings pitched, as mentioned, finished with his 3rd straight season of 200 or more strikeouts. We saw last year in July, he had a 1.85 ERA for the month of July, but then dropped off in the next 3 games, starting off in August. Gave up 5 runs or more in those 2 of those 3 games that he started. So Corbin Burns did have a little bit of a drop-off in that part of the season, but I feel like with a new home, with a team that is absolutely a playoff or honestly a championship contender in the Orioles, I think what's most important about Corbin Burns, aside from his stats, is that renewed sense of excitement of being able to move from the Brewers to the Orioles, and that he's going to have the opportunity to lift them up and turn a corner as a team. So Corbin Burns, number 4 for me, and I considered putting him even higher, but you'll see why he's number 4 and not higher.
Yeah, I think you can make the case that he's higher. I also have him at number 4. I think he's a guy, if you're betting AL Cy Young odds, he's going to be, a little bit outside the front runner because of Garrett Cole, but I think he's absolutely a guy that can win the award, especially going to a team that's kind of ready-made contenders in the Orioles. That should carry him to the wins needed. And I think the rest of his numbers will speak for itself. He's a 200 inning guy like Tyler was just talking about. He's a 200K guy. He has a sub 1.1 whip. His ERA is 3.3, which is beautiful. 32 games started last year. Low walk rates. This guy's an absolute stud. And it feels like, he's been a sub 1 whip guy. Let's see. 2 of the last 4 years, and the other year he was a 1.02 whip guy. So, his walks are as low as 1.8 per 9, as high as 2.3. This guy's really not good at throwing strikes and getting people out. Corbin Burns is awesome, and you can certainly make the case that he's a top 3 pitcher easily. When we get to my number 3, I'll explain why I had him 4 and not 3 or even 2. But it's easy to make that case.
So I got to be that guy, huh?
Be that guy. Be that guy. Be that guy.
I got to be that guy to not only break your trend, but to probably break a bunch of people in the chat's hearts. I'm going Zach Wheeler at number 4. And the reason is it's an age factor, and that's really the only thing. And yes, I understand that Zach Wheeler could be the type of guy that pitches well into his late 30s, 38, 39, and still throws well. this is not a slight at Zach Wheeler to put him at number 4 on this list. But the reason that I put him at number 4 on this list is for the two guys ahead of him have one definable trait that I think, or at least one definable trait that I think stands out above Zach Wheeler. But if there's a guy that I want taking the ball in the playoffs, there's not many guys, if any, that I would take over Zach Wheeler. But going into his 34th season, age 34th season, going into a contract year, I don't know what type of Zach Wheeler we're going to see moving forward. I have an idea of the type of Zach.
Splitter down, Tyler.
I have an idea of the Zach Wheeler we're going to see this year, but moving forward, I don't know what that type of Zach Wheeler is.
Randy just said he'll get hurt this year with that splitter. Don't say that, Randy.
I sure hope not. But model of consistency, 58 starts.
Oh, okay.
Huge difference. Huge difference.
Sorry, Randy.
58 starts over the last 2 seasons, 345 innings pitched, a 3.2 ERA. The difference being slightly higher whip than the next 2 guys that I'm about to put on the list, and slightly lower strikeout numbers than the next 2 guys that I'm going to put on my list. This is not a slight to say Zach Wheeler is the 4th best pitcher in baseball. I know you guys are going to have him higher, but heading into this year, we're talking about projections. It's another year older. I just think the 2 guys ahead of him are going to be slightly better.
Interesting. All right, well, my number 3, because again, I'm going with projections for 2024, the entire season. I'm going with Atlanta Braves Spencer Strider. Now, last year in 2023, dominant season, leading the league in strikeouts at 281, strikeout rate at 13.5 strikeouts per 9. His wins, 20. His winning percentage, 800. Only a 4th place finisher in the Cy Young voting. ERA of 3.86. His FIP, a 2.85. Spencer Strider has not gotten over the hump. Now, I can agree that the last 2 seasons for him, and what I wrote was, the last 2 seasons go from 202 strikeouts to 281 in 2023. His numbers have improved from year to year, but that postseason hurdle has continued to be the biggest defining moment for Spencer Strider and the Braves as a whole. And so when I'm looking at starting pitchers, when I'm looking at who's the best of the best, I need to go with the guy that's going to come up clutch down the stretch and help his team win games. And while I'm not putting it all on Spencer Strider that the Braves haven't been able to get past the Phillies, I can't put him ahead of the guy that's leading the Phillies. So Spencer Strider is my number 3 starting pitcher going into 2024.
I have Zach Wheeler number 3. I considered putting Corbin Burns ahead of him. The Wheeler Strider thing I really went back and forth on. His playoff success has me ahead of Burns, and probably should have edged him out over Strider as well. But Strider is significantly younger and put up some really gaudy K numbers. So I settled in. I felt comfortable putting Zach Wheeler 3rd. He's one of the best postseason pitchers of the last 25 years in Major League Baseball. And that's all that really matters. You're as good as Zach Wheeler is in the regular season. That's fine. You've become a Cy Young pretty steady finalist here in Philadelphia. And then, you elevate your game in September when it matters the most. Zach Wheeler has been absolutely tremendous here. One of the Phillies' best all-time free agent signings. They got him for a deal. They bet on his future being exactly this, and they aced that decision. 200-inning guy, 200-plus strikeout guy, a sub-1.1 whip, that 3.5, 3.6 ERA. But most importantly, when it matters the most, Zach Wheeler steps the hell up and is, right there with Garrett Cole as the best pitcher in baseball, in my opinion. The more I talk about this, the more I should have put him 2.
I'm like, your answer is giving number 2.
I know, but Spencer Strider's a freak.
I know.
And I don't think it's a discredit to Zach Wheeler to put him 3rd. Because the playoffs, I weighted that much on the scales of judging a player. When you step up when it matters the most, that's all that really matters. So Zach Wheeler easily could be 2. I don't think I could put him 1, but he's definitely a top 3 pitcher in baseball to me.
Yeah, I'm just going to flip 2 guys here on this list, and I'm going Spencer Strider at number 3. Just a 1/10 of a point, 0.1 ERA worse than Zach Wheeler over the last 2 seasons. Wheeler 3.26 to Spencer Strider's 3.36. Strider's whip is 100th of a point better. His 1.05 to Wheeler's 1.06. Really what it comes down to for me, it's the strikeout numbers, right, guys? 375 strikeouts over the course of 345 innings is elite, and that's what Zach Wheeler did. Spencer Strider struck out 483 over 318 innings pitched. That is a 13.7 strikeout rate per 9 innings pitched. That's bullpen stuff. That's closer type numbers where, like, you know, if your closer comes in and strikes out 2 over an inning, it's like, oh my God, this guy's, you know, 9 strikeouts.
The only guy that comes to mind with like 13 plus K per 9 rate is like Chris Sale.
It's like Randy Johnson stuff.
Yeah, like
you know
Chris Sale's like
Pedro
one of the best
Martinez
in baseball.
stuff.
Like that's up there, like historic wise.
So yes, I understand that despite the fact that Zach Wheeler threw 27 more innings, he only gave up 6 more earned runs. He gave up just 4 more home runs. The walk rate is in favor of Zach Wheeler as well, but the strikeout rate is just undeniable for me. Spencer Strider stuff is electric, and he wants to challenge you. He's going to throw a lot of fastballs because he can. And quite frankly, one of the things that I hate about this guy, but I admire as a baseball fan, is the simplicity at the way that he ramps it up. We talked about this during one of the watch parties when we were watching him pitch. It's effortless. It's like 98 with very little exertion, and it's why he can throw 98, 75, 80, 85 pitches in. Listen, do I like this guy as a Phillies fan? No. As a baseball fan, the guy's elite, and putting him at 3 is, I think, probably fair where he should be.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's get into our top 2 now, because my number 2, and hit that thumbs up button in the chat while you are tuning in and share your thoughts on who's the top 3 and what your orders are. My number 2 starting pitcher, because of his postseason numbers alone, let alone with the fact he's a guy all reliable, especially when you need him most, he will step up, which in my opinion makes you a top player in any position, especially as a starting pitcher. It is, of course, Philly's own Zach Wheeler. As you guys talked about, the numbers in the regular season are astonishing for even all of these guys in our top 3 or 4. But when you look at the postseason success of Zach Wheeler compared to someone like Spencer Strider, and I'm comparing 2022 and 2023 collectively. For both of those 2 seasons, Spencer Strider had a 5.4 ERA and a 1.47 WHIP. Zach Wheeler, a 2.42 ERA and a 0.73 sub-1 WHIP. In the innings pitched, you have, obviously, Zach went 63 and a third innings pitched in postseason. And because they didn't get far in the postseason, Spencer Strider, of course, 15 innings pitched. 68 strikeouts for Zach Wheeler to Spencer's 19. Obviously, the Phillies went further, but a big reason they went further, as I mentioned before, is it starts at the top. It starts with your ace. It starts with Zach Wheeler. And for as phenomenal as the numbers are in the regular season, I get it. Spencer Strider, younger. And I honestly, if we're doing an overall projection into 2025, 2026, it's a different conversation. But right now in 2024, for this year, for this team's makeup, it's still Zach Wheeler at that number 2 spot. Last year, as you guys already hit on, hitting with a 3.61 ERA, a 1.08 WHIP. Zach Wheeler is that guy, and I need someone that's going to step up when it matters most. I count on Zach Wheeler. He's not afraid of the big lights, the fans, anything else. He's going to come out and give you ace in the hole, Zach Wheeler, wheeling and dealing. He's my number 2, and the only reason he's not number 1 is because there's a guy named Garrett Cole that's still in the league. But Zach Wheeler, without a doubt, is number 2 for me for postseason alone, guys.
Yeah, as I was talking about Zach Wheeler being in 3rd, I kind of hated myself for putting tight pants, stupid hipster mustache, flannel shirt. Where's the next craft brewery? Spencer Strider. Let me get on my, what is it, the Lock 10 speed that the hipsters ride their bikes. Like, yeah, I have regrets. It's okay. Spencer Strider, I mean, 284 strikeouts last year. I understand, you know, the Phillies get to him in the postseason, but I feel like this is the guy, this is going to be his 4th full season in Major League Baseball, basically, and he's already this good. The future's bright for this dipshit. I'm sorry, he's a Brave.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I got to take my shots. He's a Brave, and I'm putting him ahead of a Philly. I don't like the way I feel inside right now, Tyler. But he's incredible. I mean, he is from a baseball standpoint. 20 wins last year. You know, a sub 1.1 WHIP with that strikeout rate. He's really good. He's got to prove it in the postseason, which is why I have the Wheeler over him regrets. But the guy's pretty tremendous, and he's young, and we're going to have to deal with him for a long, long time here in Philadelphia.
So,
oh boy,
this was not the guy I initially thought I was going to put at number 2. And then I dove deep into the numbers, and you almost forget how good this guy actually is. And I'm going Corbin Burnes at number 2.
He's phenomenal.
He's only going into his year 29 season, and each of the last 2 or into the last 2
you mean
seasons.
His prime?
Yeah, basically. Over the last 2 seasons, he's made 65 starts. He's thrown almost 400 innings in those 2 seasons, a 3.16 ERA. Not too shabby, by the way. We talked about Strider strikeouts, 483. Corbin Burns, 443 over 390 innings pitched.
225 last year or something?
Something ridiculous. His strikeouts per 9 is still over 10. The walks is down to 2.7. The whip is, Jamie, you talked about the whip. It was sub 1, each 3 of the last 4 years or 2 of the last 3 years?
2 of the last 4, yeah.
And in total, over the last 2 seasons, it's 1.016, which if you're giving up 1 base runner per 1 inning pitched, that's elite numbers. This guy keeps the ball in the yard. He doesn't give up a ton of hits. He's only given up 285 hits and 395 innings pitched. And he doesn't walk a ton of guys. 117 walks over the course of nearly 400 innings is pretty darn good as well. That's less than 3 walks per 9 innings. Corbin Burns' stuff is electric.
He's awesome.
But more importantly, this guy is just one of those dudes who knows how to pitch. Zach Wheeler knows how to pitch, right? I think Spencer Strider is finding out how to pitch.
Yeah.
And Corbin Burns definitively knows how to pitch. This guy's elite, and I think he may be almost underrated despite the fact that he's elite. I'm going Corbin Burns at number 2.
Yeah, you throw a 2.12 ERA 1 year, and you still, I agree, kind of underrated. What a great move by the Orioles. Corbin Burns is awesome.
Yeah, and with that, our number 1, we all have the same number 1. That is the one and only Garrett Cole, who still is in his prime. And listen, age is nothing but a number. The last 5 out of 6 seasons, Cole had 200 or more strikeouts, including as high as 326 Ks in 2019. Of course, the 1 year he did not, 2020. Garrett Cole is still the best in the game, still top pitcher, and honestly leads the league in a number of categories. ERA last year, finishing specifically last year with a 2.63 ERA, but overall top in whip at a 98.98 whip, top in strikeouts, top in B-WAR, top in so many categories. The Yankees, of course, did not have a great season last year, but it still didn't take away from Cole's production. And unfortunately, the Yankees with a whole different look this year. It's scary times up in New York for what they're going to look like in 2024, especially because they still have Cole at the helm. Still that number 1 top dog because of overall just the consistency, the production, the numbers, and the filthy stuff that he brings to the mound every time he's playing.
Yeah, and Christopher O'Donnell in the chat wants to know where Andrew Painter is on this list because he had a 0 ERA last year. I mean, that's a fair point. The guy
can't argue stats.
You can't do better than a 0 ERA. Garrett Cole last year, his WAR, 7.4. For a starting pitcher to have that type of WAR is freakish. A sub 1 whip, 222 strikeouts, 210 innings pitched, a 2.6 ERA. I mean, what's there to say? This guy's the best pitcher in baseball. I hate that he's on the Yankees. Good morning, Anthony. Thanks for joining the show. Hit that thumbs up while you're in here.
What's up?
Yes, Garrett Cole. I mean, there's nothing more to say. I'm sure Tyler will have a few more gems for you, but Garrett Cole is very good at throwing baseballs.
Yeah, this guy stinks. He's overrated.
Yeah.
No, this guy is definitively the best pitcher in baseball. And guys, I'm not sure it's particularly close right now, as good as the rest of the list that we've put together is. Led the American League in ERA last year with a 2.6. Led the American League in 2019 with Houston with a 2.5. And guys, over the last 6 seasons, he's been under 3 4 times. Yeah. 2.8, 2.5, 2.8. A really bad year for Garrett Cole last year, or 2 years ago at 3.5. Oh, no.
Wow.
And then he came back with a 2.63 ERA last season. This guy also, over the course of the last 9 seasons from 2015 to 2013, has made 259 starts. And that includes the 12 in 2020 that, Renee, you were referring to, which, by the way, if you average out a 60-game season, 12 is 1/5, which basically means Garrett Cole made every start that he was supposed to. So 33 starts each of the last 2 years, 200 innings pitched each of the last 2 seasons. And guys, not too long ago in Houston, he struck out 326 hitters.
Insane.
And last year, 222. The year prior, 257. 2021, 243. This guy is so good, and he's not showing any signs of regression. No. And he's pitching at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Which is hard enough to do as it is. And like this reminds me of the time like late 90s, early 2000s. And this may be a reach because this guy's a Hall of Famer and to me he's the top 5 pitcher of all time. But like the years that Pedro was dominating at Fenway in the AL East, in the steroid era. And you're just like, dude, this guy's unreal. Garrett Cole was putting up those type of numbers, with the exception of like Pedro had that one season of 1.8 ERA. You're never going to see that from, I don't know if you're going to see that from any starter, quite frankly. But like, that's the type of pitcher that Garrett Cole is. He's an elite arm, and he continues to be an elite arm.
So if Ohtani's pitching this year, do you have him up there with him, or is it a close race for you, or is he a clear 2 still?
I think Ohtani's still a 2. Yeah, I think Garrett Cole. I think Garrett Cole is definitively still the best starter in baseball.
And I was going to say, just because of the fact that Ohtani didn't pitch last year, I would have him still at number 2. You know, I think that it does take time to kind of get back to that, but it's exciting when you look at that starting pitchers. That Zach Wheeler's right in the mix, but also you're seeing that the competition closing in on the heels, or trying to, for Cole, but definitely that 2, 3, 4 spot is extremely competitive. K-Red, I know you're saying maybe both New York teams this year will blow it. And yes, you can dream and hope that that's going to happen. But as you guys are dropping in and we're getting ready to wrap up, I should say, hit that thumbs up button. Just some updates again. We know that the Phillies take on the Twins today, 1:05. That's getting started in less than an hour as Christopher Sanchez gets to start. The Twins actually just involved in a trade with the Dodgers, picking up Manuel Margot as Noah Miller heads over to the Dodgers. So that trade broke yesterday. So a little minor roster move for the Twins. And let's get into our final part of the show, because it is our last week of this game. And I know we all enjoy this game so much. Guess that stance, because it's time to see who we've got today.
Tyler, how tough are we looking at?
Said it's really difficult.
What were we saying? The scale is 1 to 10?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So 1 is like you should get this in your sleep, and 10 is like good luck, God bless. This is a 10.
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
so I'm just gonna exit now.
I'm just gonna throw a dart.
So I'm gonna watch this, guys. We just figured out that we could do something. So we're gonna put up this silhouette.
Oh,
check this out. We just figured this out today. I think this is it. We'll see.
This is it.
What do you?
Look at you guys in the box.
The torture chamber.
But now I don't want them to see us because it's going to be frustrating.
Just found out we could do this today.
Is a 10 out of 10.
I figured this is a really good time to bring this up because
Mission Impossible.
Because it's so hard. I want the fans to see you guys suffer.
Then can you give us a clue if it's
my gut was like, oh, this is clearly a right-handed batter. Now I can see left-handed.
Yeah. See,
all right, I will give you some hints on this one.
Okay.
Guys, unfortunately, I hate to do this to you. This guy's a switch hitter.
Oh, not again.
I think I'm mentally tapped out on all the Phillies switch hitters between 2006 and now.
So in this picture,
I'm going to apologize even a step further. This guy played 52 career games with the Phillies.
I knew it was going to be somebody that barely played with the team.
This is a righty stance, though.
Kevin and Mickey, Randy in the chat, you're saying righty. Yes, it is a righty stance. Chris Summer, I'm with you. Great American Ballpark. Okay.
Oh, man, switch hitters.
Okay, it's fine.
Can I even zoom in on you guys while we're doing this?
No.
Look at the frustrations building on your faces.
Please don't zoom in.
It's not a pitcher, hypothetical man. I can promise you that.
I was actually going to ask the same question.
It is not a pitcher.
Are we getting a Cole Hamels type curveball? Okay.
I will not do that to you again.
So I'm going to just throw out a random name, pick a name out of a hat.
This guy, I will give you one more hint. This guy was on the team within the last 4 seasons.
Dang it, then my answer is wrong. Okay, let me go back. Try again.
I'm firing.
Wow, firing from the hip.
Oh, I misspelled that,
Diego.
Tyler. There's an S instead of the double E there.
That's a wonderful guess, Jamie.
Right? He played not a ton of games.
Sure did. I don't know how many he played.
Andrew Napper?
It's a good guess, though. I'm just not sure if he was a
switch hitter. Oh my gosh.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure the guy you guessed was a switch hitter.
That being a switch hitter drove me nuts. Because I was like, you're not good enough from either side. Just pick one and focus on it.
Okay, I might have an answer for you.
Castro, not a bad guess.
Michael Martinez.
Wow. That is a name I haven't thought about in a long time, Ray. Johan Camargo. Love that, Matt Deckert. I love this game just for the random names that you haven't thought of, usually because it was a dark period of Phillies baseball for a while there. And I just like to forget 2012 to 2020. Mine has not been said yet, but mine is equally as random. Sounds like a ball player, though. Sounds like he's Cooperstown bound with with his name.
Mine's wrong.
Darn
it.
Matt, WYM thinks Matt Deckard is right with Camargo.
I'm not going to ask if I heard a correct answer. We're getting a lot of answers in the chat.
Yeah, the more random, the better. A 10 on the difficulty scale and a switch hitter. This is tough.
It's tough.
All right, Tyler, I'm going to text you.
Okay.
Son of a gun. Because you know what? I'm not caring as much. It's okay. You know, I'm trying to be better.
Ty Kelly.
Ty Kelly. What a name.
Now that sounds like a ball player. Ty Kelly.
All right, Renee's answer is locked in. Jamie's answer is locked in. So I will tell you guys.
Give us the breakdown. I'm scared.
The unfortunate
People
part.
think Matt's right.
The unfortunate part for both of you is the guy that is our guest played 52 games with the Phillies. Renee, your guest played 309.
I didn't have time to look that up.
And Jamie, yours played 301 with the Phillies.
Oh wow, it felt like so much less.
Not in either of them.
No.
So I will tell you guys this. Renee went with Andrew Knapp. It is not Andrew Knapp. Jamie, you went with Andres Blanco. It is not him either.
I can't believe he played 301 games.
300.
You know what?
Actually spent the most time in his career with the Phillies.
Have you heard a correct answer?
I
in the
have.
chat?
I think Matt Deckard got it right. Johan Camargo.
Is it Yo-Yo?
Yomar? It's one of the best guesses I've ever seen. It is Johan Camargo.
Wow, Matt Deckard. Somebody buy that man a beer. That is impressive. Johan's got a little chunk to him in this picture.
Yeah, he does. I don't know if it's the angle, though, because it's kind of like you're getting more full body instead of like side profile.
Matt Deckard, congratulations.
Matt, how did you pull that one out?
That is true Philly sickness right there.
Yeah. Everyone's like, that was a good guess. That was a good guess. Impressive. Well,
I'm blown away that Andres Blanco played 301 games.
Yeah,
didn't think it was that many.
No, I thought it was like maybe 100.
Yeah.
Well, you learn something new every day.
The switch hitters always get you. But again, congrats to Matt. Well done, my friend.
I feel like I should Venmo you a beer, Matt. Throw your Venmo in the chat. I'll buy a beer. Johan Camargo. That is
Venmo you a beer.
Yeah.
Not money for a beer. Just the beer.
Well, I'll
get
send you like $8. I'll send my Venmo.
Chris agrees. Chris said beer's on me.
Yeah,
so.
let's get it rolling. Get some Miller Lights for Matt. Winner, Miller Light dinner.
Yeah, Miller Lights on us, Matt.
Woo-hoo.
Coming your way.
We got plenty of Miller Lights for you.
Speaking of Miller Light, opening day is 30 days away. We are going to be down at the sports complex at the Bet Parks venue right down the street from the stadium.
I almost forget.
We'll be doing some giveaways, some Miller Lite giveaways. I'll be drinking some Miller Lights. Renee and I will be hanging out with Tyler. So if you're going to be down that day, maybe you can carve out a little time, stop by, give us a go Phils and a high five, and we can hang at Bet Parks there and have a great opening day.
Yes, it's so soon, guys. 30 days away. We're getting closer.
30 days.
It's happening. We'll be able to actually watch games. I know it was asked where we can watch today's game. That's, getting started in now 40. Oh, I can't
Matt Deckard won.
50
right. Matthew Deckard won. I'm sending
I'm
you
trying to do the math really
Miller
quickly.
Lite on me, Matt. It's coming your way. Johan Camargo. I'm impressed. That was
47 minutes until game time. There we go. Math. So that being said, as Jamie is Venmoing Matt for his winning of today, because that was extremely impressive. We'll be back again tomorrow live at 11. We're going to have our own John Foley is going to be joining us. He's been traveling with the team, so he hasn't been able to join us live on the show because, of course, game time, not truly after we get off the air. So he'll be giving us some updates from down in Clearwater and what's going on with the Phillies. Of course, as Jamie mentioned, follow us, subscribe, because we have events coming up. We've got takeovers going on as soon as today at Chicken and the Egg with the Sixers show. We've got a lot of great things on the horizon that you guys can participate in.
$8 coming your way, Matt Deckard. That's probably 2 Miller Lights.
That's impressive. Yeah.
And a little tip for your bartender.
There you go. So enjoy the rest of your Tuesdays. We'll have some cocktails for you as the cocktail club is getting started soon. We'll have some more drinks coming away, more recipes, more fun things, guys, here on PHLY Phillies podcast. For Tyler, Jamie, myself, Renee, have a terrific Tuesday. We'll see you back more tomorrow, 11 a.m. Be there or be square. Bye, guys.
We all silly like the mayor.